I wanna feel alone tonight. I wanna feel alone tonight. I wanna feel alone tonight.
Listen, baby. Listen, baby. Listen, baby. Listen, baby. Listen, baby.
I was chasing shadows, moving too fast. Didn't see the way our love couldn't last. Now I'm stuck replaying what I put you through. Every night I'm haunted by the thought of you. If you need my loving, call me and I'll step on you. And we can talk all night long. If you want this loving, then call me and I'll drive to you. And we can touch all night long. Just call me and I'll come through. Just call me and I'll come through. Just call me and I'll come through. I was chasing shadows, moving too fast. Didn't see the way our love couldn't last. Now I'm stuck replaying what I put you through. Every night I'm haunted by the thought of you. If you need my love, if you want this love, if you need my loving, call me and I'll step on through. And we can talk all night long. If you want my loving, then call me and I'll drive to you. And we can talk all night long. Just call me and I'll come through. Just call me and I'll come through. Just call me and I'll come through. If you catch my drift.
And we are live. Let's see how bad our lag is tonight.
My Twitch is frozen for me on both my screens.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yay. Well,
I refreshed and it's spinning and we've got a little bit of lag.
a little bit, not bad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? Welcome back for the second night of the Hold My Pen Promptcast. And for those that are new here, first off, welcome to the craziness. Stick around. You might get a giggle. But some quick things right out of the way. I'm Julie DeFisher, the host, author of a bunch of freaking shit. whips out the wazoo. To my other side, you have Izzy Kraus, our IT and co-host. Right below me, which is kind of in the center, you have Miss Kesh Butler. Again, we're getting her there on the authorship, but she's got whips coming out her hoo-ha too. And then you have over in the corner, Bubba Extraordinaire, also author, PA Power. We have another one that will be popping in a little bit. Right now, they're having some technical difficulties, which is CR McCormick. If you came in last night, you know who Char is. So, in the process, a little bit of housekeeping. We rolled for last night's prompt. Izzy, what was the prompt from last night?
Of course, you'd ask me that.
I would. Right then.
Starting first line. Now, again, starting first line doesn't necessarily have to be your starting first line, but use that as your jumping off point. If you realize that something else needs to be put in front of that, go for it. And it doesn't have to be word for word. Adjust as necessary. I once took a starting first line and turned it into 5 fucking sentences. Just saying. From the attic window, the world looked entirely different.
Love it when my internet crashes.
That's why I said, Char's having technical difficulties. She'll be back in a minute. All right.
And the tech support sticks also put it in the chat for y'all. Quick fingers. Damn.
Miss one word from memory. Any behoozles. We have an amazing show tonight. We are running a little bit behind schedule, but we also find out tonight, which is the reason we're going to be rushing through getting things done. If you read the chat, you will know that all the works are owned by the author. With the anonymous month that we are ending tonight, the authors will be revealed of who actually belongs to what. But everything belongs to the author. We have permission to broadcast it and then rebroadcast it over onto YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. We love you. Thank you. Light up that chat over there. Let us know where you're watching from and if you're enjoying the show. Otherwise, over here in the Twitch chat, keep things running, guys, because the more we have activity in that chat, the less ads we actually get. But here we go. We're doing the best we can.
On top of that, we've heard on several occasions now when people go to the writing and reading category on Twitch, Saturday and Sunday nights, we're the top result. So right. That says a lot about you guys constantly chatting, interacting with each other. If y'all want to lurk, that's fine. But the more you talk in the chat, interact with your fellow audience members and with us, the more likely we're going to recognize your information when you go to submit. We've also got a slight change that we're going to do moving forward, starting with this first prompt. Now, any of you who have already submitted this calendar year, the 22 prompters that we will reveal tonight, unless they decided to stay anonymous, we already know you. Okay, so this rule kind of does not apply to you, but this does apply to any new submitters moving forward. It will be in the newsletter. It will be in the Discord. We'll get that taken care of this week. But when you submit that very first time, okay, again, the 22 who have submitted this year do not have to do this. We know who you are. Please make sure that you are giving us either your YouTube channel name or your Discord channel, okay? And in order to get the information in order to submit, you'll need to go to the link in our bio here or on YouTube or join the Discord in order to get the rules and the whatever in order to submit, okay? There's been, with how quickly we have grown, okay? We haven't even been affiliate a year. And yet, just in the month of January, we surpassed the number of individual submitters for all of 2025. So whatever we're doing, we are doing it well. However, once you do well, there's a little bit of paranoia because people start coming out of the woodwork. people we don't know, people who did not follow us over from TikTok, people who came across us on Twitch. We have to be a little paranoid in order to protect us, the individual panelists, the individual authors who submit. And so, because that's what this is all about, getting people writing and protecting their work. We've lost count of how many times Julie's debut novel has been pirated all over the freaking internet with word for word, but different title, different author name, and different cover. And yet it is her original debut novel. So our whole point is to protect the safety of the panelists, the safety of our prompters and our audience members. So there are going to be times where we take some drastic measures. That being said, to date, we have not reported anybody to Twitch. We have not. We don't see a need to. Okay? However, we have taken some steps to protect us, the stream, our content, various different other things. And that is unfortunately a side effect of becoming so popular, thanks to you guys and your love and support. Okay. So if it starts to sound a little bit harsh, there is nobody that we know of who has used AI to feed information and produce a fully AI created work. Okay. There's nobody that we know of thus far. However, I did mention that a couple of live streams ago because we don't know. Strangers are coming into our group and we don't necessarily know them. We want to get to know you. We really, really do. But that means that if you're a lurker and you think for in any way, shape, or form you may want to participate, you kind of got to interact with us in the chat, on the Discord, in order to do the things. Because we're going to have to start, if the first time you submit, you're not following the rules, we're going to have to decline.
Right.
To read your submission out loud. Because we have to protect our show. We know of TikTok shows who did cold reads like this, who accidentally read out pirated work, and their show was dead in the water. Nothing that they did wrong, right? But somebody used them. And we got to protect this because this has become something that means so much to so many people. And we don't want to let you all down. And we don't want to die before we really get started. So,
right.
If it feels like we've gotten a little tighter, if it feels like we've gotten a little bit more paranoid, if it feels like we've gotten a little bit more angry and whatnot, look, I'm an Aries, okay? I know that I am rough around the edges, and that's just what happens when you're a March Aries. And Patrick as an April Aries is, not as rough around the edges as I am, but still that fiery temper comes out, right? Now January Capricorn, I live with a Capricorn. In fact, my middle child, its birthday is a day before Char's, also the same kind of thing. And as Julie is fond of saying, as a Taurus, abrasive as steel wool. We don't mean to come off really mad or whatnot, but we are very, very protective. And let's not even go into my bestie, the Scorpio. All right? There's things in her mind that scare the ever-loving piss out of me. And I'm pretty damn scary myself. So,
and as Styx put it, growth without boundaries invites chaos. We're just ensuring
exactly.
the safety of the show.
Exactly. We have a very safe chaos here.
Control.
Okay? We are controlled chaos. It is still chaos, but we are controlled chaos. And on top of that, I am pretty much an open book. I am pretty much approachable no matter what. If you think for 1 second that I have a problem with you, please come to me, because I may not even realize that I was saying things to make you feel that way. And 99.999% of the time, I don't mean to. Okay. My kid had to get autism from somewhere. I'm just saying. Just please.
As Documenter put it, as like the hinges are a little iffy, but the line's still there.
Yes, very much love that, Doc. Love it. So please understand, we have not meant to insult anybody. That was never our intention. We are simply protecting ourselves, protecting the show, and protecting our prompters from people that may not know the rules, may not be willing to follow the rules. There are also tacit gentleman rules that have not been written. We have determined that those are going to need to be actually written up. And we hate to do this, but again, like Stick said, growth without boundaries. Here's the line. Don't cross it. There are things that are going to have to happen. We also have not, to this day, as far as I'm aware, banned anybody from our Discord server.
No.
There is actually a member in the Discord server that I personally blocked because of an outside issue. We did not ban them from the Discord. That tells you just how fine line, compartmentalized. That person is more than welcome to join into a video chat, anything else. They just cannot personally message me. Right? So it's very easy for me to separate business from personal and also to, draw the line, right? That I don't want to have any personal stuff with you, but you're still a part of our server and you have not given us any reason to ban you from our server, right? So I just wanted to get that out of the way because I'm pretty much an open book. And I don't want anybody to come for me or my friends because my spirit animal is a black bear. And have you ever come between a black bear mama and her cubs?
Does not work well.
Recommend it. Don't recommend it.
No.
Really, really don't.
And the only other thing is our voices are not here to train AI. Please do not do that. Also, write your own damn shit. And also on your first on your first emission, yes, we do run it through a PlayStation checker. Yes, we do run it through an AI checker. That's how we know that nobody on the show or anybody who has submitted for the show has used AI to date.
Yep.
We just want to keep.
Now, is it kind of funny, haha, but not funny that an AI checker uses AI to check for AI? Yes, it's kind of funny. But what else do we got? Right?
They're also not that reliable.
They're not. But that's the other thing, right? So even if it were to come back, I bet Julie could run my work that she's watched me type up through an AI checker, and it would say, it's probably about 16 to 26% AI because I know how to use M dashes.
Yeah.
Students have gotten their scholarships threatened because their teachers were convinced they were using AI to write their papers for them, when really the students just had a decent grasp on grammar.
Right. So even if it does come back, which to date we haven't had any, but even if it were, that would be a conversation.
And not a public
one. That's going to be, and not a public one. That is going to be a private conversation with one of the mods, probably myself or Julie, in order to say, hey, maybe somebody's like me who was teacher's pet in 6th grade English and can still diagram a sentence, or maybe somebody has a major in English, GT Gretz, which I can't remember what her new pen name is, but we'll be showing one of her books later on tonight that is still underneath the GT Grets. She's an editor by trade, was doing journalism editing. Okay. So, of course, has great grammar, probably comes back with a percentage of AI, right? Because she has really good grammar. So it's not going to be it's going to be a conversation. I liken it back to my role-playing days when I used to run Palladium games. You know, somebody would write up a character background as to how their character got to this point, and sometimes it gave them extra skills their occupational character class didn't normally allow for. Because we are not reduced down to one thing. We are not in a singular box. We are in multiple boxes, and just want to protect everybody all the way around. And we don't earn any money from this. Literally, your subscriptions, bits, cheer, and everything else that you have sent through literally goes back into paying for the programming we use, the extra ability to send up to 500 newsletters in a month. And they count them. Okay, let's say we've got 19 subscribers to our newsletter. Every time we send out a singular newsletter, that counts for 19 of our 500 that month. Okay, so in order to get that, I had to put in a subscription for a higher level of our Beacons account. That's what that money goes to. Okay. We also, at some point, would also like to create an angel fund. We had an advisor early in our show career who had an angel fund, who when they heard of an author who is in dire straits, or they had this manuscript but they couldn't get it to an editor, and paid for some of those services, or connected them to. And eventually, if we do have money that is like that, we would like to do that. That's been one of Julie's dreams for years, is to create an angel fund to help authors get edited, cover art, formatted, so that they can publish. So we're not taking paychecks.
Even helping them get to events, helping with table fees and stuff like that. Doing our best to help y'all succeed.
That's always been
it.
People ask me, my work allows for a United Way donation directly out of my paycheck. And since well before my position required a certain amount in order to get all the perks, I've been giving them that amount for 6 years. And somebody asked me why, like, that's your money. And I said, except when my youngest was an infant, I needed assistance, and I went to the United Way, and they got me connected to who I needed to go to. They helped me with any kind of applications, etc. And I ended up getting back on my feet. I now am in the finance sector because United Way sat with me and helped me do things that I didn't know at the time how to do. So every opportunity I get to throw a couple of bucks their way, I do. And this is the same thing. Julie was the recipient of an angel fund situation a year or so ago, and this is our way of paying back. Plus, on top of that, honestly, I just need all your books over here. So if I can help you get published, so I have your book over here, it's really selfish on my part. I just want your book.
We just hit our follower goal.
Yeah.
Hey, Tess!
Tess! Oh my God, yes! Tess! Tess is one of our OG TikTok authors. Girlfriend, where have you been? Oh, missed you, girl.
That's awesome.
We just hit 70 of 70. Awesome sauce. We love you guys. Okay, and with that, let's get on to we've covered AI, we've covered why we are getting a little bit stricter. This also comes on the heels of adding additional mods. So if you have concerns in the Twitch chat, we'll also look at doing some things over on YouTube and building that platform up a little bit more. But leave Dahlia alone as much as you possibly can, because she does have school and 1 or 2 jobs and side things. So leave her alone as much as you possibly can. But technically, while in chat, she is a mod. We've also got Bitzer K as a mod. We've also got everybody up here as a mod and Sticks, right? Sundays, he's doing double duty because he has other commitments. But as you see, he's in the chat, also monitoring us, being big brother, except he'll always be a little brother to me because he's younger than I am. Yes, and legitimately, that's what happened today. We had an issue today, and we bing bang boom, and Sticks was there. Very knowledgeable, very no nonsense. So please do not take offense to his very acerbic wit. He's actually a funny dude. So we've covered all of that. Let's get into the final anonymous submission live stream for January freshing.
Who is?
Yes, so we can figure out who the hell is who, and we also have a new submitter, debut submitter. So we made an executive decision because their submission came in 1,000 words over the cap, and that's absolutely fine because we want to give them their due and encourage them the way we encouraged all of you. So that being said, Julie, who's our first victim? I mean, readout.
Number 4.
All right. Number 4. Here we go. This is entitled The One Who Stayed. The floorboards creaked in the hallway behind them. Evan froze mid-step, one hand still hovering over the light switch that hadn't worked in years. The sound was soft, but deliberate, the kind of noise old houses made only when someone was there, when weight shifted, when a presence announced itself without asking permission. He hadn't heard footsteps in this place in a decade. Dust hung in the air like a held breath. The small house smelled the same as it always had. Wood polish, old books, something faintly floral that reminded him of late afternoons and open windows. The furniture was gone now, hauled out by relatives or sold or simply lost to time, but the walls remembered. They always did. Evan turned slowly. The hallway was dim, lit only by the weak afternoon sun spilling through the front window. At the far end, where the bedroom door used to stick unless you lifted it just right, someone stood. She looked exactly the same. Not younger, not older, just the same. Lena, he said, and his voice broke on the name before he could stop it. She didn't answer at first. She just watched him, her expression calm in the way that used to drive him crazy, like she could see storms forming before anyone else noticed the clouds. I always wondered who else knew, Evan whispered. She smiled then. Not wide, not unkind, just sad. I did, she said gently. I always did. The years between them collapsed. 10 years earlier, Evan had stood on a stage with lights so bright they burned his eyes and applause so loud it felt like proof. Proof that he'd been right. Proof that leaving had been necessary. Proof that ambition was a kind of courage. He had thanked everyone that night, his mentors, his colleagues, even his rivals. Everyone except Lena. She'd been in the back row, hands folded in her lap, clapping quietly. She always clapped like that, as if she didn't want to interrupt something important. He remembered catching her eye for half a second before the crowd surged to their feet. He remembered thinking, she understands. She always understands. That was the lie he'd lived with. The truth was simpler and crueler. He had assumed she would stay. They had grown up together in this house, long summers on the porch, late nights talking about dreams that felt too big for their small town. Lena wanted to teach. Evan wanted more. Something louder, something that would make people listen. When the offer came, an opportunity that would pull him halfway across the country, he hadn't hesitated. He hadn't asked her to come. He hadn't asked her to wait. I can't do small anymore, he'd said, pacing the living room while she sat on the arm of the couch, watching him like she was memorizing the moment. This isn't small, she replied quietly. He'd smiled, kissed her forehead, and told her she'd understand one day. That was the night something broke. Back in the present, Evan's chest felt too tight, like the house itself was pressing in on him. You're not real, he said, though he didn't believe it. Lena stepped forward, her shoes making no sound against the worn wood. Does that matter? He shook his head, eyes burning. No. They stood facing each other in the place where the couch used to be, where she used to sit curled up with a book while he talked too much about himself. I came back to sell it, he said, gesturing vaguely around them. The house, it's been sitting empty. I didn't think... You never do, she said, not unkindly. The words landed softly, but they cut deep. Evan swallowed. I failed. She tilted her head. I know. The failure had been spectacular, public, the kind that trended for days and then lived forever in search results. A single decision, one shortcut, one compromise had unraveled everything he'd built. Contracts vanished, friends went quiet, doors that once flew open slammed shut with finality. Success had been loud. Failure was louder. I thought if I made it big enough, Evan said, if I won enough, it would mean something. And did it? He laughed weakly. No. Silence settled between them, thick and familiar. You know, Lena said, you never thanked me. The words hit harder than any accusation. I thought... I know what you thought, she interrupted gently. You thought I didn't need it. Evan looked away, shame crawling up his spine. You stayed when everyone else told you not to. I stayed because I wanted to, she said. Because loving you felt like standing still while the world rushed past, and I didn't mind. He closed his eyes. I used you. Her voice softened. No. You relied on me. There's a difference. Then why does it hurt like this? He asked. Because you left without looking back. The magic of the house revealed itself slowly. As Lena walked, the walls shimmered with memories, snapshots of moments Evan had buried under ambition. Lena at the kitchen table grading papers late into the night. Lena cheering quietly from the sidelines of his early successes. Lena alone on the porch the day he drove away, her smile brave and cracking at the edges. Evan sank to his knees. I thought gratitude was saying thank you at the right time, he said, voice raw. I didn't know it was staying or seeing or choosing. Lena knelt beside him, her presence warm and steady. Gratitude is noticing who stands behind you when you're too busy chasing what's ahead. Tears spilled freely now. He didn't wipe them away. I don't deserve this, he said. No, she agreed. You don't. And somehow that was a mercy. The house began to fade, the light thinning like fog in the morning sun. Evan felt the moment slipping, panic rising. Wait, he said. Please, I don't want to forget. You won't, Lena promised. That's the consequence. He looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in years. Did you stay? She smiled, and this time there was peace in it. I stayed long enough. The floorboards creaked again, and the hallway was empty. Evan left the house as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in colors he'd never bothered to name before. He didn't sell it. He didn't fix everything overnight. For the first time, he noticed the quiet, the way light fell, the people who showed up without applause. And every day after, he lived with the weight of what he'd lost and the gratitude of finally knowing what had been there all along. Dun dun dun.
That has to be my favorite depiction of an utter failure and dealing with the consequences so far. Holy shit.
Yep. For those who are newer, for the 5 panelists for our birthday months, because we're all born in different months, we put out extra challenges. So January was Char's birthday month, and she wanted us to try and include epic failures, where something integral to the plot, the character fails, and they have to live with the consequences. This one was fucking amazing. Fucking amazing.
As always.
Yes, Spencer! Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot.
Alrighty.
Holy Moses. Interestingly, feel free. You can still sit in there. We did put it in the January Fresh Ink Discord channel that, guess who you think is who. Feel free to do that in the chat tonight, too. We're reading 6 submissions tonight. And if you've been around here a while, you kind of heard what people do. Who's our next readout?
12.
Oh! I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay. Seasons. The floorboards creaked in the hallway behind them. They, the ghost of what I tried not to think about. I tried not to see them standing ahead of me, where my heavy footsteps made the floor groan. Waving ahead, dispelling the apparitions of guilt and shame and some unsavory flavor I can't possibly name, I return to my work at the keyboard. My hand lazily taps my pen against my desk. I would have liked to show you where the story ends with Mia and Ken, but there was something more important that I needed to say. There was something magical in the encounter of my heart and mind, something relieving when I let it out and pour my soul through pen onto paper. And there is no more a name for the gratitude I feel to have given these feelings a home and your voice to bring them to life than there is for the stone in my stomach when I let it sit there too long, ignored and repressed. And thus, amid cold and frozen drifts, that mound-shaved ice that once were flakes against my window, melting because the heater is too close. I think of the seasons, and I ask myself, I wonder who else knew. He is the summer, and I am the winter. And at a crossroads, we met not because we stopped, but because we were both passing through. For a moment, we thought passing through meant staying, and staying was fated. But he was summer, and I was winter. My heart is a hearth. When all the world is cold, I invite others into my warmth, a warmth they don't recognize until they realize they were standing in the snow. My heart is a hearth, a quiet fire, easily fed and stoked with patience and kindness, tenderness and care, kept alive, not by spectacle, but by attention. I am quiet rooms and steady hands, long sleeves of sweaters, books about other seasons that feel like dreaming when the windows are frosted over. Because I am winter. He is summer. He is heat and sunlight, laughter under sunburned skin, movement, noise, light that never learns how to rest, even when night comes. Because he is fireworks in July and movies on the beach in June until August when the cicadas scream and tree frogs sing. He is cool rivers rushing down from mountains, gathering in a hidden lake. Secret, untouched. I dip my toes in because I like to swim. And he is summer. I am winter, but I dream of the sun. I bask on bleached rocks, absorbing the warmth of the day, then slip back into quiet stillness, deep, cool waters submerged, enveloped. Because he is summer. And we dreamed of spring, when ice melts and cool days warm, beginning somewhere between summer and winter. But he is the summer. He never worries about collecting firewood. The days are long and warm. He dreamed of shooting stars, bright, burning, gone too fast, like the ones in winter's long nights. While I dreamed of fireflies, catching them in grass-filled jars in warm summer fields. I thought the warmth I felt came from the sun, but when I surfaced for air, I realized how cold the water still was. And I didn't want to swim anymore. The leaves began to change just before the heat left. The fall from high rocks into pools, the fall of acorns from trees, the fall of him from me. Days shortened. Cold winds stirred. I grieved the setting sun. But I am winter, and I know to wait, because the sun is not gone. I trust in the promise that days once short will grow long again, that I won't always be cold. My heart is a hearth, burning with light lost to short days, warm through colder nights, inviting in those who long for the sun because they too are cold. He is summer. And what felt like peace to me was boredom to him. Where he sat in stillness and called it death, my roots grew deepest. And when the days grew coldest, my fire thinned. Embers dimming in the lengthening dark, the cold crept back in, like mountain waters in summer. And I didn't need to swim. So by the time the words stopped hurting, they stopped being wishes. Shooting stars burned out. Fireflies flew away. They stopped being accusations. Summer shed its leaves, and the trees stood bare. We saw then what remained beneath the thrill of spring, nakedness and empty. Summer was always fleeting, warmth fading, winter returning. Then, a hand reaching for the hearth, no kindling, no fuel, only hungry for warmth. Because we met at a crossroads, walking different paths and only meeting by chance, facing opposite directions and thinking passing through was the same as staying. And then our hands pulled apart. Your arm grew tired while mine kept reaching. And the seasons changed. No one notices how cold they are until they have been warm, beside a hearth, through a long winter with the wind roaring outside. No one longs for winter until they have been burned by summer. So I no longer ask the sun to stay. I don't beg it to love the snow. Instead, I listen to the wind whisper that the sun will return, days will lengthen, and winter will give way to spring. I will be warm again. And maybe next season I won't go swimming. Because I am winter, and he is summer.
I say, goddamn. Wow. Yeah, we got our first mic.
I got it, Bitzer.
Hi, Edelyn. You invited yourself into my chair without permission.
They're big. They're like, I don't need permission. I need room. That was amazing. That was very oof.
Ooftonium.
By the way, is there a way you can make us a
I was just thinking about doing that, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Once I was seeing the Ooftonium going, I was like, I need to make that into a GIF. I need to make that into a little thing.
Like a radioactive thing where it says oof.
Yeah. It's been noted in my head.
Okay, just double checking there.
I love that we both thought of the same. Like, I know what she's gonna ask me. I know what she's gonna ask me.
Well, Bitzer's kind of coined that one, and it has been a very big one on the show. So it's like, I think we need a GIF now.
Yeah.
What's more is that, I was so super excited because I knew that this was the Meg and Ken story, right? That slow burn, whatnot. And then no, it's a letter to all of us. And then I was like, wait, my voice makes it happen. Your voice. And I was like, wait, what? And the fact that this author trusted me and my voice to put this spoken word. I don't know if anybody doom scrolls and comes across button poetry or spoken word type stuff, or the Moth, or all those other ones where they're talking their truth and they are speaking their truth in this poetic mic thing. And soon as I started, and they gave me direction on where to pause, where to do a long pause, where to soften the voice. And I didn't read that part out loud. I just took the directions. And the fact that somebody trusted me with something so...
I actually got asked if you were going to be upset about that. I'm like, no, Izzy loves taking directions.
Izzy literally loves taking directions. If you need a certain character to have a contra drawl, please tell me, because I absolutely love doing my southern drawl, please. And thank you, because I will put it on thick.
Izzy, you're making me want to watch Knives Out now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that Daniel Craig, for a British man, can pull it off amazingly.
So good. Oh my fuck, so good. I have the entire trailer.
God, that was...
I'm gonna have to binge it.
But that just... I'm not gonna lie, I tried watching it the other night, the first one, and I like kept falling asleep. But regardless,
who's next?
Who's next? Cause I'm we're gonna try not to take breaks, but it just goes without saying. Hanky warning. Just have it within reach.
That should be the first thing everybody knows about this show. Hankies, people. Stress balls. 14.
I don't even know where. 14. Oh, okay. Oh, bring on the Southern characters. Okay. Nadine eased the rental car to a stop where the drive widened, tires crunching softly on the gravel. Mr. Nunez stood beside his sedan, jacket off, sleeves rolled up in the warm summer air, looking faintly out of place against the green trees behind him. He lifted a gnarled hand when he saw her. "You made it," he said, relief threading his voice. She stepped out and scanned the woods. "Is it further in?" He smiled. "Just a bit. I'm glad you could come." He beamed at her, his ice blue eyes out of sync with his dark skin and his name. He held out his hand. "Gerald Nunez." She shook it politely. "Nadine Weiss." "In the flesh." Nadine smiled finally. "Yes, in the flesh. Shall we?" He turned toward the darkness. She followed. Birds chirped. The wind rustled through the leaves. She hadn't heard something as peaceful since walking the stone steps to a mountain temple on Osasan, where even the birds seemed to understand the rules. They walked single file as the path narrowed, Mr. Nunez setting an unhurried pace that suggested he'd done this many times before. Gravel gave way to packed earth, the canopy closing in overhead. The air cooled perceptibly, damp and loamy, carrying the faint scent of old leaves and something mineral beneath it. Nadine adjusted the strap of her bag against her shoulder. "You don't bring many people out here, do you?" He chuckled. "Not anymore. The road weeds out the curious." "And the rest?" "The rest usually turn around once they realize there's no cell service." He glanced back at her, eyes bright. "You didn't." "I'm used to it," she said. "The lack of bars, I mean." "Ah." Approval softened his smile. "Prepared." She didn't correct him. She'd been to enough remote places in the world. Disconnection left her unbothered. The trees thinned abruptly, the path opening into a small clearing. And there it was. The house sat low and wide, its silhouette older than its bones suggested. all deep porch and sloping roof lines, as though it had settled into the land rather than built upon it. Weathered wood bore the marks of time, but without neglect. Windows reflected the trees instead of the sky, dark and unreadable. Nadine stopped without meaning to. Mr. Nunez watched her carefully, saying nothing. It's... She searched for the word and came up short. Solid wasn't right. Neither was eerie. It doesn't look abandoned. No, he agreed. There was a provision for upkeep. That earned him a look. He lifted his hands slightly, conceding. Edith wanted it waiting, not dying. She was particular that way. Nadine nodded, eyes still on the house. She felt not a pull exactly, but a pressure, like stepping into a room where a conversation had just stopped. How long has it been empty? She asked. Mr. Nunez hesitated, just a fraction. Empty would be a matter of interpretation. Clarify? He gestured toward the porch. Shall we? She crossed her arms. Clarify, she repeated. He sighed. If you are asking how long since she passed, I told you it was 10 years ago. He took a step up. If, on the other hand, you're asking how long since a person has been in residence... He paused, caressing a shining wooden post, perhaps for dramatic effect, but she couldn't be sure. I stayed here for a year after, cataloging and comparing to her notes. Kids will be kids, and the locals are no exception. My presence and their respect kept them from getting too curious. Nadine followed up the steps. The lawyer reached the door first. He paused there, not hesitating exactly, but giving her a glance, then produced an old brass key from his pocket. It was heavier than modern ones, its teeth worn smooth with use. No alarms, he said lightly, fitting it into the lock. No cameras. Edith hated anything that suggested surveillance. The key turned with a low, resistant click, as though the house were waking reluctantly rather than simply unlocking. The door swung inward, releasing a breath of cooler air that smelled faintly of dust, wood, and something harder to place, dry, mineral, like stone that had been underground for a very long time. Mr. Nunez stepped aside. After you. She looked at him. Me first? I've already crossed this threshold many times, Miss Weiss, he said. This time is yours. She gave him another long look, but didn't comment. She shifted her bag higher on her shoulder and stepped forward. An oddly placed breeze swept in behind her. A faint memory of rudimentary science whispered, a prairie breeze shouldn't be possible against the trees surrounding the clearing. She stopped just inside, hand still near the doorframe. The air in front of her felt dense, but dissipating under the weight of the incoming current. The space beyond the entryway stretched farther than the exterior suggested, shadows pooling in corners that didn't quite resolve. Behind her, Mr. Nunez crossed the threshold more carefully, closing the door with deliberate gentleness. The latch settled in place with a soft, final sound. Welcome home, Miss Weiss, he said, rubbing his hands together and taking in the open area before them. Nadine didn't answer. She was waiting for whispers of the past, familiarity, ancestral memory. None came. It's empty. She felt her guide smirk and heard him softly inhale before speaking. I told you, empty is a matter of interpretation. Nadine glanced around at the homey kitchen, the comfortable living room, and bookshelves lined with books before a darkened hallway stretching toward a back staircase going up to the second level. She took another step forward, deeper into the space. It feels like it's been waiting. Mr. Nunez smiled, but there was something guarded in his face. Yes, he said. That's one way of putting it. She turned toward him. What's next? I suppose you wander, look around, make your decision. Nadine's brows rose. Today? He shrugged. Or not. There's no impending deadline. He leaned his lanky frame against the wall behind him and crossed his arms. We would prefer if you made it before your stay ends, though. Nadine hugged herself. We? He smiled almost apologetically. My apologies. I mean the royal we. The estate. He waved a hand. Go ahead, Ms. Weiss. Explore to your heart's content. She turned away, the sudden silence at his words making her heartbeat rushing through her ears more apparent. Taking a deep breath, she straightened her shoulders and moved further in. She stepped into the kitchen area. Perfect layout for a baker or someone feeding an army. Over her shoulder, she threw back a question. You said no children, right? Correct, but her own mother had 7. Edith changed nothing other than modern appliances. Fed her share of town kids here, though. Nadine nodded. She looked through the back exit of the room, directly into a well-tended herb garden. You kept up on her herbs all these years. She heard him chuckle. She taught me how to pair flavors and cook with that garden. It was the least I could do. Despite herself, Nadine smiled. You old softy. A smile split the lawyer's face. Guilty as charged. She returned to the living room, giving the sofa and low table an appraising gaze. Each looked worn, but serviceable. Micro scratches marred the table's service, though still well polished, beloved, and regal. Lots of homework completed there. The bookshelf was crammed full of modern, vintage, and antique editions, aesthetics be damned. She touched the ancient spine of Treasure Island, trailed over an early edition of The Handmaid's Tale, finally resting on Uprooted by Naomi Novik. The organization of the books held no rhyme, no reason, much like her collection at home. I always wondered who else did this. Mr. Nunez stayed quiet behind her. Nadine crossed through the doorway into the back room, finding a short door under the stairs. Please be a normal closet, she whispered. She opened it slowly, its darkened interior hard to make out. A delicate chain hung inches from her face, a swirled shooter marble glued to a cap. She pulled gently, her breath hitching as it illuminated the space. More bookshelves greeted her, each filled with small, nearly identical notebooks. The effect of weathered and worn notebooks at the bottom, weaving newer and crisper at the top, was pleasing. Nadine pulled the newest and closest one out of its home. She opened it, surprised to see neat and precise handwriting on ledger pages. This was surely Edith's handwriting. She closed it and held it tightly to her chest. Nadine turned off the light and shut the door, notebook still clutched near her heart. She drifted further down the hall toward the back of the house, drawn by the way the light changed near the stairs. The mudroom sat tucked between kitchen and back hall, practical and unpretentious. Hooks along one wall, a bench worn smooth by decades of use, boots lined neatly beneath it, mismatched but cared for, as if waiting for people who had stepped out briefly. A window over the bench framed the herb garden again, this time from the side. Rows of green stretched farther than she'd realized, orderly, but alive. Basil brushing up against rosemary, thyme flowering where it pleased. Beyond it, the backyard opened wide, prairie pressing in beyond the woods, the tree line holding the boundary. She could imagine people stepping out there at dawn, or late at night, needing air. The stairs rose from the mudroom at a gentle angle, their banister polished by years of hands brushing its surface. Nadine placed one foot on the first step. The floorboards creaked in the hallway behind her. She froze. Behind her, the house remained exactly as it had been. Sunlight slanting through the kitchen, dust motes drifting lazily, no movement she could see. Mr. Nunez hadn't followed. He hadn't even shifted. She waited a beat longer than necessary, then continued up. The creaking followed her this time. Not loud, not sharp, just the sound of old wood doing what it did best, remembering weight. At the top of the stairs, the space opened into a narrow landing. Doors lined the walls, all of them ajar. She stepped closer, peering in. Bedrooms, small ones, thoughtfully arranged, each with a narrow bed. Brass in some, dark wood in others, simple dressers, quilts folded with care. Nothing extravagant, nothing claiming permanence. They looked less like bedrooms and more like accommodations. None of them felt like a master bedroom. That absence settled in her chest, heavy and unmistakable. She turned slowly, her gaze drifting back down the stairs. She closed her eyes and let her mind recall the layout of the house from outside and compared to what she'd seen inside. Her mind's eye glided through the rooms, zeroing on a dark hallway she hadn't noticed right away, her memory filling in the blanks. Stretching in the space between the couch and bookcase, the area had been half swallowed by shadow. Not yet, she decided. Edith's inner sanctum awaited her later. When she opened her eyes, a closed door stood at the far end of the landing ahead of her, its brass handle brighter, more worn than the others. The angle of the ceiling sloped subtly above it. Attic, maybe. Nadine didn't touch it. Instead, she rested her hand on the banister and looked back down the stairs, listening to the quiet of the house settle around her. It had been waiting. Not for her, she realized, but for someone like her. Curious. Willing. She slowly descended, eyes resting on every dust-free surface. The lawyer was certainly dedicated to his client, even in death. Nadine shook her head. His friend. He keeps calling her his friend. Emerging from the doorway, she noticed he still leaned against the outer wall, grinning and humming softly to himself. You cared for her very much, Mr. Nunez. I see it everywhere I look. He lifted his eyes, his gaze glistening with tears. I did. I do. Are you sure I'm the one to take over? Nadine fingered the notebook, squeezing it to her. He stood then, pushing his shoulders back. You remind me of her, you know? Watching you walk around here, you move like her. Nadine gasped softly. I do? I guess, well, I was always told I moved like my mother, and she like hers. I suppose it's in the DNA? Mr. Nunez smiled. I think it just might be. He hesitated, the smile on his face wavering just enough to betray the question underneath it. So, he said at last, voice careful, have you seen enough? Nadine looked around the room one more time. The light, the stillness, the quiet patience of the place. She swallowed. I think, her words trailed as she pictured her sad and little apartment back in California. The emptiness was different there. Stripped, bare, vacant. Here, it was still empty, but not bereft, not a yawning void. This place was waiting, Furnished. Her fingertips brushed the notebook.
All right, talk to me. All right, talk to me.
Test.
Gotcha.
Bitzer, the house got him.
Well, it didn't. Well, it didn't.
There's an echo somewhere.
Test. All right, there we go.
I don't hear it.
Yeah.
I don't hear it.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, now it's Patrick. All right, here we go. They didn't realize that the house was creeping on them. Okay, the stream is still going. It just kicked us all off for whatever reason. Okay. I think her words trailed as she pictured her sad and little apartment back in California. The emptiness was different there. Stripped, bare, vacant. Here, it was still empty. But not bereft, not a yawning void. This place was waiting. Furnished. Her fingertips brushed the notebook still in her arms. And maybe the discovery leads to a story. Mr. Nunez watched her as she debated, his shoulders dipping almost imperceptibly. Uncertainty flickered across his face before he could mask it. There's no rush, he said quickly. Edith would have wanted you to be sure. Nadine shook her head. No, I don't need to be sure if I want to. She drew a breath, steadying herself. It's how to. I figured it out. Something in his expression shifted then. Surprise, relief, something close to pride. She met his gaze. I'll take it. The year. I'll try. For a moment, he simply looked at her. Then he reached into his pocket and drew out the old brass key. He pressed it into her palm before she could protest, folding her fingers over it with both of his hands. His grip was warm, grounding. I hoped you would, he said softly, but I didn't dare expect it. Before she could respond, he pulled her into a brief, firm embrace, the kind that carried more history than words. When he stepped back, his eyes were bright. Edith would have been proud of you, he said. I know that without any doubt. Nadine closed her fingers around the key, feeling its weight settle into something steadier than fear. I hope, she said quietly, I can be half the caretaker she was. Mr. Nunez smiled. I think, he said, the house will tell you if you're doing it right. Dun, dun, dun. can't tell if the house is haunted or like he knows something or
The description.
I don't think the
of
house is haunted. I think the house has its own like little spirit to it.
Oh my gosh, the description
Kind
of
of
the
like
house.
Rose Red without the attitude or need to, off the people that are inside it.
What? Y'all were talking at the same time. Good God. I know y'all have opinions, but dang.
Sorry. Go, Kesh.
I said that the descriptions of the house, it was like there.
Yeah,
Like
I
I'm
kind of
trying
was
to
too.
catch up with the chat now because like I was kind of more into the
I can almost see the couch
house.
kind of worn. I can see the they said micro scratches, and then it was a mental thought of hers. Must have been lots of homework because she's picking up on all the stuff that he's saying. That she never had kids of her own, but she had been his babysitter back when and that all the town kids were there, and it's just like it feels like this weird little house in the woods, and she kept the upstairs bedrooms ready for if kids needed to spend the night. And
She was a safe haven.
yeah, and she
Like I said, it kind of feels like Rose Red without the hostility of the house trying to eat and kill people.
right, or it's her monster house but more well adjusted.
It's had therapy.
Monster house.
Well, it sounds like Edith didn't let the house get out of control. And I think it's funny that Nadine referred to herself as, I hope I can be half the caretaker she was. Caretaker of the house? Wait, what? All right. We'll see if that turns into anything, won't we? So next victim. I mean, read out submission.
11.
Oh, God. Oh, God. If anybody remembers, the number 11 was the Mutant X teen thing. I'm hoping it's more of the same. I really am. I want to know more about these kids. Map home. The smell of stale cigarettes and fast food mingled with the dry cough of the old man in front of the bus while it rolled along from one town to the next. Georgia stared out the window, her eyelids heavy and her vision fading into darkness as she watched the streetlights flicker by. She shivered, still wet from the rain and the minutes ticking by too slowly for peace of mind. She hunched closer to the window and whimpered as sleep claimed her for the first time in what felt like her entire life. Her dreams, like parasites, crawled behind her eyes and devoured any sweetness that may have come, and summoned forth the dark figures of the nightmare she'd escaped. They stalked down a stretching hallway, but no matter how fast she ran, they always caught up. Their hands clamped on her wrists and dragged her over burning coals and spikes and bound her in chains as she screamed. Their cackles, like caws, mocked her pain as they pulled her farther into the dark. "Stop!" someone called. "Let her go!" The men looked up, their long beaked faces glinting with a red light. It flickered and danced, reflecting in their shielded eyes. They crowed to each other, grabbed hold of Georgia's shirt and pulled her faster and harder than before. She kicked her feet, trying to slow them. The footsteps of others raced down the corridor. She wailed and screamed as the spikes on the floor turned to thick hooks and ripped at her sides. Begging and pleading did no good, and the dark figures hurried only more. "I said let her go," he shouted, and before she could get a good look at him, one of the dark figures flew back and a crack resounded out of sight. It was like the snap of a branch from a tree in a storm. The dark entity groaned, and the other pulled from its back a wicked scythe. Just let her go. We don't want to fight you, the second person said, though his voice was far from calm. The dark entity cackled and growled, its back hunched, and long talons grew from beneath its robe, and its beak parted to reveal rows of sharpened teeth. Its eyes glowed behind circles of glass, and spines erupted down its back. The beast roared and swung the scythe back, and then whipped it around at full speed. In a flash, a bright red flame unleashed in the air, burning by Georgia and catching on the entity's robe. It roared again, twisting back and forth to stamp out the fire. Are you okay? He asked as he slid to her side. Georgia gasped, scrambling back as he tried to loose the chains. Despite the frustration on his face, he was mesmerizing and calming. There was something about his eyes that softened her fight, and the way he threw his hair back as he tried again to set her free. Why did you go with them? I didn't, she croaked, wriggling free from the restraints. They found me. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers, and the frustration melted away to something sadder. He reached over, brushed her hair from her face, and rolled his thumb over her cheek. There was something gentle and beautiful in that simple touch, and it broke her heart for reasons she didn't understand. If you two are done, we have to get moving and find... Georgia gasped and startled awake as the bus hit a hard bump. The rising dawn had turned all the world to shades of blue. She looked up at the board. The next stop was Bakerstown. Home, she thought. Sweet home. It had been years since she'd spent more than a few hours in Bakerstown, but she hadn't forgotten a single thing about it. Where the movies played and the sports teams practiced behind the school. She knew the old ladies at the candy store and the one at the bookshop next door. And if they were still alive, she'd stop in to see them. It was a small lake town, and after she'd found a good book to read and an assortment of snacks, she'd head to the local campgrounds by the big lake. Her dad wouldn't be home from work until the evening, and Ian would be with a sitter at a camp or something. There was no one waiting at home for her. Not yet, anyway. The bus pulled over to the station and the doors creaked open. Georgia shuffled her feet as she walked down the aisle and plodded her way down a couple of steps. She sucked in a chestful of air as she looked around the empty bus stop. It wasn't much of a station, a few benches and an awning. Still, it was better than where she'd been. The air was sweeter and smelled a bit like worms. And it wasn't as though it was unpleasant. She'd lived with stale smoke for too long to reject the slimy aroma. Georgia stretched and looked down at her damp clothes. At this hour, she'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere open, but maybe there was a donation bin nearby, and she could scavenge something dry. She yawned and slumped forward, trudging along the side of the road. Bakerstown wasn't as big as Dennis, but even if it were, she didn't have the energy to run down the street looking for an open door. She rolled her shoulders and grumbled to herself. No more sleeping on buses. Georgia stopped about halfway to the main road and looked around in hopes of recognizing anything from her childhood. 5 years had a way of changing a place, she realized. There were new houses, and the edge of the park had a handsome new sign and a map of the walking trails. The road was busy with cars, and the donut shop up ahead had a line waiting at its drive-thru. She didn't remember one of those, and for a moment she wondered if she'd come to the wrong town. As she turned around, searching for anything familiar, a rush of fear coiled through her. What if she couldn't find her dad and Ian? What if they'd moved? And what about the worst-case scenario? What if this wasn't the same Bakerstown and she'd read the map entirely wrong? Her chest squeezed so tight she could not bring in another breath, and her vision constricted. She shifted back and forth, and she shook her hands as tingles raced from her palms to her fingertips. Something was wrong. She was sure of it. A whimper escaped her lips as she spun around, and a white flash blasted out around her. Car horns blared, and the voices down the street rose with confusion. Georgia stepped back on the sidewalk, staring at her brightly glowing hands. On the verge of crying, she tucked them under her arms and huddled on the ground. Why was this happening? Are you okay? He asked. Georgia looked up, and before her was a tall boy, around her age. His orange hair was swept to the side, and his face was full of freckles. He looked around and stepped closer, not sure what to make of her. She dropped back on her bottom and scrambled away from him. He lowered and reached out a hand. Hey, I'm not going to hurt you. Are you all right? She tried to find her voice, but it wouldn't come, and she quickly nodded her head. Is there somewhere you should be? The boy asked, looking down the road. There's a hospital. I'm fine, she blurted out. I'm just a little lost. My dad, he was supposed to meet me here, but the bus was early. Your dad? The boy sat beside her, wrapping his arms around his knees. What's his name? Maybe I can help you find him. Ronald Powell, she said. Dr. Powell? He smiled and tapped his shoes. I don't know where he lives, but I can take you to his office. He pursed his lips and then looked at her curiously, his eyes skating over her strange appearance. Chris, he said, holding out his hand. Georgia, she returned, shaking with him. She offered a half smile, but then wrapped her arms tight around her middle again and leaned back. Her attention turned to the sky. There wasn't a single cloud, and the sun had barely brightened it. What are you doing out this early? She asked. Well, I was out for an early run before soccer practice. He shrugged. Then I saw this bright flash and thought, if that wasn't a near-miss car accident, I don't know what is, so I came over here and found you. He picked at the grass and then added, I'm glad it wasn't a car accident. Me too, she breathed, looking away, her eyes wide. Was that what that light had been? A flash of high beams? Then why were her hands glowing? And why were they itching still? She shivered, pushing away the thought of whatever had happened between her escape and meeting Chris. You look cold, he said. You know, I actually live about a block from here. I could lend you some of my sister's clothes if you want. Anything dry would be great. She nodded and stood up. Chris was soon to follow. She tried to dust off, but the smears of dirt from her hands turned to slick mud stains. I guess I didn't realize how hard it was raining last night. It was one hell of a storm, wasn't it? Chris said as he led the way down the street. You know, I heard on the news it was some sort of chemical storm. There's a big plant up in Harmony, and it's been leaking for years. I guess something happened because every station was saying not to go out in it. Acid, probably. Well, I'm glad I was in Dennis, she said, following close to his side like a lost puppy. It might have been the same storm. He looked over at her, taking note of the streaking of her blue and white hair. Either it was done in haste or the rain had stripped it in the worst way. You can get a shower, too. I'll talk to my mom. She can probably help you get to Dr. Powell's office if I don't have time. That's really nice of you, she said bashfully. It's not every day you see a cute girl crying on the side of the road, he chuckled, bumping his shoulder against hers in a tease. Just put it out there, Chris. Just put it out there. I wasn't crying.
No shame in his
Right?
game.
I wasn't crying, she grumbled, and she hadn't been yet. What she'd felt was exponentially worse than bawling like a baby on the sidewalk. It spread a haze through her head that would linger for hours, if not for the rest of the day. The tightness in her muscles wouldn't soon subside, and her unsettled feeling would cling to her until she found just the right distraction to banish it back into the dark recesses of her mind. Georgia licked her lips and swallowed against her dry palate. Before I forget, thank you for all of this. Don't worry about it. Georgia opened her mouth to disagree and argue that it was worth worrying about, but then she felt the crawling in her skin again, the demand that she think twice and keep her mouth shut. She bit down and gave a solid nod. This wasn't the time to argue about hospitality when she didn't have a single thing besides a small fold of bills in soggy pockets and a couple of coins, pennies mostly. No one else was going to show her the same generosity as Chris, so she remained silent by his side as they walked down the street to his house. And though she was lost in a small town she barely remembered, at least she wasn't in Dennis anymore. And the glowing in her hands had stopped. As they came to the corner of the street, Chris had fallen into telling her something about the local neighbors, new families, the sort of mundane things that sounded important in a small town. Georgia drew her lips into a line, nodding idly as he carried on. Then came a flash, something dark darting by her vision. Her breath caught in her chest. She swung around, searching the trees and yard. I always wondered who else knew, he said, intruding on her spike of panic. Georgia? What are you looking for? I, she stepped back, nearly knocking into him. I just thought I saw something. Chris shifted, cocking his head to look around her. Probably just the crows, he said, gesturing to the birds gathered by the bushes around a quiet porch. Look, you don't mess with a murder of crows. Just don't mess with a murder of crows. Be nice, feed them nice things, shiny things, and walk the fuck away. Georgia swallowed. Screams echoed in her head. The sharp sting of her hair being pulled tingled again, and the sound of his voice, whoever he was, came like soft waves. Her breath slowed, focusing in on the only sound that had brought her some semblance of peace. Caw! Caw-caw! The birds sounded, and she flinched. Their wings opened, and they clumsily took flight. Rogue feathers tumbled to the ground, and the dark shade tunneling her vision lifted. It was just a few birds pecking at the ground. Those things from her dream weren't real. Georgia folded her arms and turned back to Chris, following his lead across the street. She was safe now, and that had been only a nightmare, even if that boy from it had been the best dream she'd had in a long time. Nothing more! Nothing more! Dun dun dun!
How rude.
That
I want a full
so
on. I want a full on. I need my emotional support, Bibo Kari.
That nightmare was horrifying.
Right?
Phenomenally
God.
written. Horrifying.
so when do we get the book?
Yeah.
I
Right?
don't know.
I guess once we figure out who the author is.
Yeah, that too.
Speaking of
Oh.
which, next one.
Next. I want to know who all these people are.
Six.
Which one's that one again?
6. Ooh, yes. That's the Space Lovers.
Oh,
Okay, we ready? Yeah, space lovers in a near future. Near future? The hull creaked in the aft section of the ship as we were pulled from the black hole's gravity well. I sat in the command chair and watched as the ambient glow of the event horizon shrank away from the view screen. Garrett had gone back to his quarters to get an infra distress beacon in hopes he could get someone's attention to rescue us. It was a long shot, though, from what he was telling me. It would be dependent on if an Imperial ship was within a certain distance and if it was scanning that specific infrasound frequency. So very low, but not zero odds. I just watched the Union ship that we were now tethered to as we were dragged behind it through the ether, probably back to their territory. I just waited for something to happen. The suspense of not knowing what they would do to us once they connected us to the payload we had dropped in their home system. Wait, what? I don't know about anybody else, but I feel as though I missed something. I feel as though the author wrote a bunch of shit that happened and now dropped us back in because I don't remember the last one, them being caught up with by an a Union spaceship.
I think that was like right there at the tail end of last
I
week.
know.
But I remember the payload, but that was several weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm feeling a little confused because I feel like I missed something or I didn't catch something. So if I sound a little confused, that would be why. But I just wanted to put it out there just in case anybody else felt that way. Okay. That is why we had the anonymity on this mission. That is why we weren't supposed to know each other's identities. I don't think the upper brass anticipated that the two experts they tapped for their dirty work would end up being two kids who fell in love and got married. Or maybe they did know and didn't care. The upper echelons of command are a strange group in the decisions they make sometimes. I could hear as Garrett came running up the corridor and back up to command. It pulled my attention from the viewer as he jumped over the stairs and onto the deck in front of me. I got a reply! His excitement was a welcome sight for me, but I was having a hard time feeling it myself. Where's the ship? I asked as I looked back on the view screen and to the starfield surrounding the receding phenomenon. Behind us, they're an Imperial plant on the ship towing us. They're going to activate the infrared network to have someone rescue the ship. If we can talk Harriet out of her hibernation mode and convince her to not let them know that we know each other's identities, we'll be fine. We won't have to worry about the consequences of having seen each other's faces. I don't think he realized how huge of a mountain he was wanting to move. Harriet, as an AI, would not go against her base programming to do the will of the Empress and her cadre of Admiral and General sycophants. But his optimism has been one of the things that I've always loved about him. I don't know how we would do that. Now that Harriet is in full hibernation, I wouldn't know how to get her to wake up. Usually that can only be done by the intelligence handlers in the ship port, I replied, referring to the specially trained technicians who were the only ones who could communicate directly with a sleeping AI. I figured you being a ship mechanic would have the programming for an emergency wake. He placed his leg up on the step at the base of the command chair, looking up at me with his boyish smile. How? I trailed off. I had no idea how he could know that somewhere deep in my mind, among all the knowledge and training, was a hidden code that a ship mechanic could use to rouse an AI in hibernation. The problem was that I couldn't consciously access the programming. There had to be a set of conditions met, conditions I didn't know. The knowledge was just under the surface of my mind. Most mechanics never used the information, but occasionally everything would be checked off and the person would suddenly remember the codes and processes to interface with the artificial mind. I'm an officer, he grinned, winking when he flashed his teeth. Is that always going to be your answer? I pouted as he finished climbing up the steep stairs, leaning in and stealing a kiss. I playfully pushed him away as he attempted to wrap an arm around my waist. One more kiss, Cyan. Then I need to go back and see if they have replied to my last message. He pulled me to him, and I was wrapped in his arms, his strength reassuring me in the midst of our mutual crisis. I'll be back, he said, as he disappeared into the entry situated under the command chair, making him even more irritating than he already was. I went back to looking blankly at the view screen and the shrinking black hole. Haskin, report! The XO barked at me from his office, his head going back into the room and presumably to his desk. He sounded cranky, and it made me a little wary. I'll be back. I looked at Jan and one of the other mechanics examining the engine of a downed Union fighter. I put my clipboard under my arm and ran up the metal stairs leading up to the XO's office. Not wanting to keep him waiting, making him even more irritated than he already was. Stepping into his office, I stood at attention, saluting and waiting for him. Eddie Zinsen. He pointed at the chair placed in front of his desk. I crossed the drab beige taupe carpet lining the floor of the room, sitting as I had been told to. Captain? I looked at him as he stood up from the computer terminal at his desk and walked over to a cabinet. He pulled a cellophane folder from behind one of the small doors and walked back to the desk, sitting on the corner while opening the file and browsing over the contents. Haskin, someone in the upper brass is very impressed with your aptitude with engines and ships. You've been tapped for a highly secret mission. I don't know very much more than that. I do know that you need to report to Admiral Hokansu by the end of the day for your briefing. Please note, it is correctly spelled. I just trip. He handed the file to me. I opened my clipboard, slipping the file into the compartment and closing it. Hiding the file from view by those who didn't need to know, I had it. Thank you, Captain. I got out of the chair, saluting as he dismissed me. I needed to go to my quarters so that I could go over the file before going to the briefing. I walked down the main corridor toward the elevators that would take me down to the barracks deck of the battlecruiser my unit was attached to. I stopped at the doors, holding my clipboard to my chest as I waited. The tone went off, announcing the arrival of the elevator. The doors opened, and I stepped in, turning to place my back on the wall as I heard someone ask for me to hold the car. My hand shot out, crossing the sensor to keep the sliding doors from closing. Cyan! It was Garrett. Soon as the elevator left, he quickly wrapped his arms around me, dipping me down and buried his face between my breasts, the zipper of my jumpsuit pressing down on my skin. Garrett! I exclaimed as he lifted me back to my feet when we reached the barracks level. You're going to get us both in trouble, I protested his attention, knowing that if the two of us were caught together, it could mean a lot of trouble. We ducked into a small alcove where he leaned into me, my back against the wall. You always look so good in your coveralls. I just wanted to know if you were going to be able to come to my quarters after shift. My unit is going on a training mission, and I'd like a little time before leaving. He whispered in my ear, nibbling on my earlobe, then moving on to kiss me on my neck. We'll both be court-martialed if I sneak out from my bunk into your quarters. Neither of us will be able to become full citizens. I placed my free hand on his chest in a half-hearted attempt to push him away. I knew he was much stronger than me, but I still made the attempt. Please. His boyish face was so hard to resist. A group of the other officers and I talked to the guys who are going to be on sentry duty tonight, and let's just say they've been paid to look the other way as our visitors start to show up. He grinned. He was always bribing someone to do something for him. Where he got the extra credit from his captain's allowance was forever beyond me, but he somehow always had enough for what he wanted. You're incorrigible. I rolled my eyes as I planted a quick peck on his cheek. Fine. My shift ends at 1800 hours. I'll be in your bunk with a smile at 2000. Satisfactory? I gave in, draping my arm over his shoulder and wrapping the other around his neck. Perfect. The look he gave me told me everything I needed to know about his plans for the night. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't coming up with my own ideas for our tryst. Tonight, he said, as we kissed one more time before he left me in the dark corner we were hiding in. I gave it a few minutes after he left me before I came out of the alcove and continued to make my way to my quarters, hoping my bunkmate wasn't there. I needed to go over the mission brief so that I knew what to expect in the coming days. I made it to my quarters and I placed my hand on the entry panel, waiting for the door to slide open. Once I entered, I commanded the lights to turn on, relieved to see I was alone. Immediately, I sat at my desk, opening the folder so I could start reading. I glanced over it, looking for keywords, then going back over it more carefully. I was supposed to show up at the Corsair dock at a specific time the next afternoon. Once there, I would be issued my equipment. Any equipment I would need, including a GRUNT power suit, a designation I would go by during the mission, and direction for my portion of the mission. It also detailed that I would be paired with a munitions specialist with combat training. Most of the rest of the mission description was vague directions of what we would be required to do and the boost in pay I would receive upon successful return from the task. It all seemed very straightforward. The higher pay rate potential tempting me enough to decide to accept the mission. All I had to do was make sure the munitions specialists did their part and get us home safely. Easy peasy. At least I thought it would be. By the Empress in her most holy light, I wish it had been. I was trying really hard to hide the fact that I hurt. Trying to, being the operative words. I was failing miserably. I had to sneak back to my room, having let my roommate know what was going on so she could cover for me. Now I had to get to my bunk before my limp was seen by anyone in the hall. Cyan, chilly girl. It was my roommate. Her colorless hair and pale skin indicators of her having grown up in deep space on a long haul voyage. He does that thing too? Eh? Mora's family had been one of the Spacer clans, her thick, accented imperial the icing on the cake of her heritage. Yes, he did this to me. I blushed. She had a way of looking at people that could make them wilt like a plant. Sorry, Cyan. I didn't mean give due to look. She apologized as she sat on her bed. Her eyes followed me as I walked to mine and laid down, grabbing myself between the legs in an attempt to ease the soreness. Tells me Garrett has something that he doesn't know how to use. By the way, that actually didn't help at all. Mora laughed. Tad not help. She continued laughing at my pain. I'm glad you're enjoying my pain. I curled up, my knees to my chest. Could better do that. She handed me a cold pack, which I quickly placed where it needed to be, then pulled my covers over myself.
There we go.
Mic is not off, but I am
There we go.
getting this
Mic is not off.
under control.
Power off.
Okay, sure. Okay, here we go.
Power on. Bluetooth connected.
Everything is talking to me. Stop it. I had to reboot so many things.
Okay, we got a little bit left of this one. Wait, Documancer, don't let me share my spot. You know where my DMs are. Which I quickly placed where it needed to be, then pulled my covers over myself. Den hot, one atter to odor. She smiled as she placed the hot pad on the table next to my bunk. Next to that, she placed an asper patch. Thank you. I pulled the pillow over my head, hiding my bruised pride. I had always wondered if anyone knew about me and Garrett other than a small handful of our friends. After last night, I was pretty sure the entire base knew. Wait, that's where it ends? Fuck, what did I do with this 2,500 limit?
Please tell me you're joking.
Not
Please,
joking.
for the love of
I
God,
am
tell me you're joking.
emotional support, Bebo Kari. That's where it ends.
See, I'm sorry. I love a good cliffhanger. It just makes me want more.
No, yes, absolutely. But like, okay, this particular story has been going into the past before they go on this mission and while they're on this mission. And it keeps bouncing back and forth. So in the beginning, we didn't even really know that the anonymous two people on the spaceship were the same two that were bumping uglies every single time they were on shore leave. Now apparently they're also married. Come
That's called growth.
Yes, I understand that. However,
Oh my god, I put too much wood on the fire. I'm dying.
Here's the thing about the content of this particular story. It is not a romance story. Okay? However, it is also the romance in it is not typical of a normal traditional romance book. But at the same time, it is not typical of just smut from cover to cover. It's somewhere right in the middle that is just it's different. It's not something I normally see in the romance sphere. You normally have closed door and you also have just cover to cover smut. And this is like right there in between where you've got the plot be plotting and the smut be getting people hot and bothered. but some of the wordage, good God, it kind of sounds like some of my inappropriate language. I'm not gonna lie. I just
Are you hinting at who wrote this one? Are you hinting at who wrote that one?
No, I'm not. I'm just putting it out there that it kind of sounds like shit that I say. I mean, y'all know. Y'all know I say some irreverent fucking shit. Kesh knows it. She's known me nearly 3 decades, and I just say the shit, and people are like, good God, Izzy, I was trying to take a drink. That's not my problem. It's not my fault that you can't make sure it goes down the wrong pipe. Right as Kesh was drinking something.
See, I know better. I didn't swallow until you were done talking.
Didn't swallow. Okay.
Okay, real quick.
Oh God, I walked right into that one.
You walked right into that one. Okay.
That one
That being said, that means that luck of the motherfucking draw, our debut author, submitter 22, which is somebody that nobody freaking knows, and was over the limit, which is absolutely fine. We made because debut author has been encouraged on the back scenes to do this and whatnot, and we want to give them the same opportunity we all got in order to really hear what they're capable of. That's going to be the next one up. However, we have been live for just over 2 hours. There is too much oxygen in my nicotine system, so we are going to take the briefest
breaks.
of breaks because Izzy needs a little Hufflepuff, and unfortunately, she's out driving around feeding kittens, and so I can't get a little bit of a Hufflepuff. So I'm going to do the other Hufflepuff, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Wait, when did I cut that? Oh, right, I remember now. Got that. Okay, I still need to do that.
The chat is fantastic right now.
Do we know if Izzy put up the Be Right Back screen or? Nope.
She has not.
Okay.
That's
well,
fine.
I'm gonna go and check on the kiddo and go use the facilities. I will be right back as well.
That's fine. People can stare at my ugly mug while you're gone.
All right.
Are 3 nice things.
I didn't see that as a negative thing, though.
Yeah, let's start making our guesses. Do people have any guesses that they want to talk about?
I didn't see calling myself ugly as a negative thing. I know I have a very plain face. I like my face. She's mad at me in the chat.
Okay, so which stories do you think belongs to Bitzer and which one belongs to Death's Head? Why I'm all of a sudden congested, I do not know.
Ow. What was that? Oh, okay, I did that one, and I did that one. And I did that one. I think I got all. Oh, I've got thread everywhere.
No, not yet. It sticks.
ATM. Nope, that was Malkavian. Wait. M-A-L. Yeah. Okay. That is the wrong page. I need this one. And Mel.
I hope the dogs aren't being too loud upstairs right now because they're having some fun. It sounds like somebody's got the zoomies, is what it sounds like.
All I hear is some like basic barking.
Yeah. That's less than what I'm hearing. Because I'm hearing claws everywhere. I'm hearing squeaky toys. I'm hearing running back and forth.
Oh, my back won't pop. Come on. Come on. Oh, there it went. Okay. Full range of motion again. All right. How did I leave off on this? There's the needle. I gotta do that down there. Okay. Can I reach that? I can. I have a lot left. Oh gosh, nope, I can't. My fire's too hot. I need a t-shirt. Oofa. Okay. I have my Molly shirt on. I'm good. I'm not guessing because I already know who everybody is. I snooped.
Yeah, there is that.
Well, we already said that none of the hosts could vote. So it's like we could throw people off, but we can't vote.
I just gotta
And I really can't vote.
I just gotta say, watching a Jack bottle explode spontaneous without anybody or anything touching it is a very unique experience.
What happened?
So Will and I are taking 12 bottles of Jack over the course of the year, and we are filling them with filtered clean water and putting them out to collect moon energy, moon water. Okay. And then we're going to put food coloring in them and color the water so that it's a 12 color rainbow. Then we're going to put it on a shelf in front of our east facing windows. And so the morning sun will come through them and put a rainbow on our floor, hopefully lowering the impact of the sun god's energy this year by filtering it through the moon goddess's energy. And so we finished one because tonight's the full moon. And I forgot to have a conversation with Will about, hey, it's probably going to be entirely too cold to put a glass bottle with a cap on it outside. So maybe we just put it in the window. I forgot to have that conversation. So as soon as I walked out the door to have my little break, I looked over at it going, oh shit, and was thinking about walking over to grab it and bring it back inside.
And they beat you to it.
And it just exploded. And I was like, dude, that was cool to see. Annoying that now I have glass on my porch that cannot be differentiated from the instant ice shards that came out of the moon water.
Yeah.
That was some powerful moon water.
So, yes. Sticks, good God.
You're not wrong, Sticks.
So, I had to clean that up a little bit real quick, and Will happened to be downstairs at the moment, so I said, hey, because I threw all the glass shards that I could pick up into the recycling. And he was like, Mom, is that you or the cats? And I'm like, it's me. Moon water exploded. So I am filling up a plastic pitcher without a lid to gather the moon water. And then, oh darn, we have to go get 2 bottles of blackberry next time we go to the store. And oh darn, we have to drink one kind of fast.
Oh no.
Oh no. So there we go. All right. So this one, Submitter 22, debut to us a little bit longer than the limit, but that's okay. Debut. Everybody last year got to, do the thing. And if you did not submit when there was no word cap, that's on you. There we go. The floorboards creaked in the hallway behind them. Annalisa seemed to not notice as she opens the door and steps out. She waits a moment at the door. Are you coming? She asks. Yeah. Liam glances towards the hallway, then Annalisa. Just give me a moment. Annalisa looks at the hallway, then Liam. She smiles, stepping back. Don't be long. He's waiting, she says as she walks down to the trail, her skirt softly flowing in the wind. Liam watches her leave before turning back to the hallway. Footsteps creak across the floor, the hallway empty. Liam's eyes shut for a moment, taking a breath and concentrating. Sometimes in this world, you feel things that can't be seen, but that doesn't make them any less real. In a moment, he summons his scythe, his right hand tightening around the handle. He opens his eyes, looking over the hallway. A slight glow coming from the scythe and reflecting off his black cloak and near the walls and floor. His brows lower and his grip tightens, the house growing silent. Liam slowly backs out of the house. He closes the door. Backing up further, he points the scythe towards the door. Another time, he thinks as he lowers the scythe. Bringing it to his side, he turns and walks along the side of the trail, the scythe scratching the dirt as he walks. The birds chirp and rustle in the trees around. The light brown trail slightly turns, going down a hill. Liam speeds up his steps to catch up to Annalisa. She glances at him, moving the long strand of brown hair out of her face. A soft smile on her face, she looks around at the surroundings. The walk down the trail is silent, all except for the sounds of their footsteps and animals nearby. They pass by houses and food stalls. A few people look at them for a moment before resuming their work. I pull my hood further over my head. Do you think this is a trap? Liam's voice breaks the silence between them. Annalisa sighs. I don't believe it is. Even if it was, we're safe. Annalisa's face falls as she watches Liam shake his head. I've never been safe around him. His hand tightens on the scythe, his brows lowering further. We'll survive. He can't kill us twice. Plus, I've got this. She smiles, speeding in front and turning around to show me her knife. A bit of dried blood lay on the edges of the knife, the handle black. You'll need to get close to attack with that. Being close to that guy is even more dangerous. Her smile fades for a moment before coming back slightly. I know, but with your scythe and my knife, we can do some damage. Liam looks ahead, spotting the meet-up spot. He lifts his hand, pointing towards the picnic table. There. A shadow stands near the bench, a heavy cloak covering their identity. Liam looks towards Annalisa, giving her a slight nod before stepping closer to the table. Papers lay on the table, a map, a book, and some notes. They stop near the table, keeping their distance in case of an attack. You finally came. The voice comes from the dark cloak. Why did you tell us to come here? Liam asks, watching the figure closely. The person lowers their hood, revealing short, dark red hair. Liam holds his breath for a moment, his eyes widening. He was expecting him, but yet seeing him still made his heart stop. Onyx gives a small nod before speaking. This witch needs to be stopped. Liam rolls his eyes. That's obvious. Onyx frowns. Yes, it is. So why isn't anyone doing anything? Liam lightly bounces the scythe in his hands. We would if we could. Onyx scoffs. That's because you never made a plan to. He taps the papers. Liam. He. There we go. He taps the papers. Liam scoffs. That's because we're not dumb. He lifts the scythe towards Onyx. You have no idea how far this goes. His voice deep, he glares at Onyx. Try me. Onyx growls back. You worried about her minions? That army she's making? Liam pauses. Annalisa's eyes widen. She looks towards Liam, then Onyx. Minions? She asks. Liam sighs. I always wondered who else knew. His eyes never leave Onyx's. The witch has been turning people, stupid people who will devote themselves to her. Liam turns and steps away from the table, looking towards the town. He's quiet for a moment. Ever since them? He asks. Onyx stays silent for a moment before answering. No, you? His eyes stay on Liam's back. Liam takes a deep breath. Yeah, many times. He turns back to look at Onyx and Annalisa. I've been watching her build this army for a while. They aren't weak. Onyx looks down at the table. How many are there? He asks. About 4 at the moment, but she will get more. Liam looks around, searching before looking at Annalisa as she speaks. 4? She scoffs. It's been like years now. I would have guessed she had more. Liam shakes his head. It takes a while. Lots of precision. Onyx tilts his head slightly towards Liam. Is she turning someone right now? Liam raises an eyebrow. Why? He asks slowly. It's better to attack when the opponent is weak. Onyx shrugs slightly. She did, last week. She's probably regaining her energy as we speak. Liam looks off to the town once more. Where? Onyx taps on the map on the table. Liam shakes his head as he walks over to the table. Why should I tell you? Annoyance painted on his face. So I can stop this. Liam looks away, then back at him. Or you can die trying. He grips the table. She doesn't want us dead. Onyx says, then what does she want? Annalisa joins in. She wants control, like a queen. Liam answers, she's too ugly to be the queen. Onyx adds, looks don't matter. Power does, and she definitely has that. Liam sets his scythe on the bench. So do we. Onyx lifts up a gun and gestures towards the scythe. But you're forgetting this power is from her. Obviously, she wouldn't give us more power than her. That would be stupid. Liam leans on the table. She was stupid to trick me. So who's to say she isn't stupid enough to do that? Liam rolls his eyes. She isn't. Annalisa steps closer. Can you guys stop fighting already? That clearly isn't helping. She walks closer to the table, placing her hands down. Onyx is right. We wait longer and we won't stand a chance. Attack when she's weak, and let's end this thing. Annalisa looks between the two, waiting for their answer. Liam looks down at the table. So does Onyx. They stay frozen, thinking. Then Liam points at a spot on the map. Here, he says. She moves, but last I saw, she was here. Onyx nods and points to a spot nearby. We'll meet here. Annalisa's eyes narrow. Then what? Onyx smirks. Then we head to the witch and give her a talk. Liam and Annalisa look at each other, each nodding once. Onyx checks the bullets in his gun before clicking it back in place. Liam looks down at his scythe. So, you're in? The wind rustles the branches in the trees. Let's end this. Liam holds out his hand. Annalisa places her hand on Liam's. Onyx puts his hand on top. They look at each other before putting their hands down. They look down at the table. So what's the plan? Liam crosses his arms. Attack the minions, then the leader? Liam sits down on the bench. And if the minions don't come out on their own, he says, meeting Onyx's eyes. Oh, they will. Onyx leans on the table towards Liam. They look at one another before Liam looks towards Annalisa. What do you think? He asks. She sighs. I think it's worth a shot. She grabs her knife. Fine, but you leave us in battle. Liam glares at Onyx. I will end you. He reaches for his scythe. Not if one of the monsters do it, Annalisa says. Liam shrugs. Then I kill him again. Onyx's eyes widen slightly. He takes a moment to take the words in. Dang, his voice quiet. You've changed. He lowers his head. When? Liam picks up his scythe. Tomorrow night. Gives us a little time to prepare. Onyx puts his gun in his pocket. Prepare. Right. Liam steps away, lowering the scythe. Tomorrow night. Liam's jaw clenches as he looks away. Onyx, Annalisa says, looking at him. We'll do your plan. But if you don't hold up your end, you'll have to handle dying 3 times. She glares at him before turning and walking away. That isn't possible, Onyx says quietly, shaking his head slightly. And you think this is possible? He gestures towards himself and the scythe. Onyx looks at the scythe and shakes his head more. Not in the slightest, but neither is a girl killing me, but yet it happened. Liam rolls his eyes. Annalisa walks over, grabbing Liam's hand and pulling him away. Come on, we have training to do. Liam follows her, glancing one more time to Onyx. Annalisa pulls him down the trail. Where are we going? He asks. Somewhere safe to train, she says, walking forward. Liam looks down at the ground. Nowhere is safe. She sighs, her hand tightening around his. After some walking, they turn off the trail and cut into the woods. We'll practice on some trees or something, she says as she pulls him deeper. They enter a tiny clearing. She stops walking and looking around. This looks good. She looks towards Liam, and Liam nods. Swing at the tree, she says, taking a step back and pointing at the big tree in front of them. Liam looks at her, then the tree, lifting up his scythe. He turns the tip of the blade to face the tree, turning his body slightly and holding the scythe behind him. He swings at the tree in a fast motion once before looking at the damage. A cut was left in the wood of the tree. Annalisa smiles and claps. Now, do that about 100 more times. He looks at her. And what will you be doing? She turns to another tree. Knife throwing and slicing. He lets out a small laugh. Slicing. Nice. She grabs her knife, holding it up, aiming at the tree. She throws the knife with all her strength. The tip stabs into the trunk. Her smile falls as she looks at the knife. Liam walks over. Form is very important. He looks at the tree. The targets tomorrow night might be softer than a tree. Annalisa's eyes widen. Might? He places a hand on her shoulder. I've never cut one before, so I don't know. Annalisa looks back at the tree. When you aim, think about your form and the strength going into the throw, he says as she pulls the knife out of the tree. She steps back and lifts the knife. Focus, Liam says, backing up and watching. Annalisa shuts her eyes for a second before opening and throwing the knife. The knife sinks deeper this time. She walks forward and pulls the knife out again, stepping back and repeating. Liam turns back to his tree, swinging at it again and again. A few swings later, he takes a step back, out of breath. He takes a few deep breaths. So I just repeat until I cut down the entire tree? He asks, turning his head to Annalisa. She nods. That would be best. Put the poor tree out of its misery already. Liam moves to the other side of the tree and swings. Fine, but watch out. He swings again and again. The tree creaks and sounds come from all over the tree. Liam steps back as the tree falls forward. Annalisa jumps as it lands behind her. She turns to see the tree on the ground. She turns to Liam, her eyes wide. She starts to laugh. You actually cut the tree down. Liam looks at the tree, then at Annalisa. That's what you wanted, right? She walks over, turning to face the tree. Do you think you could do this to those minions? Liam tilts his head, his voice soft. I don't know. Annalisa nods, stepping away. It would be very efficient. He squints his eyes. By being cut in half. Annalisa giggles. The fate for monsters. Liam looks down at the floor. We are monsters. Her smile fades. She walks over and places her hand on his shoulder. We aren't bad monsters, Liam. We don't hurt. We're just trying to help. She sighs softly. Her eyes shimmer. We didn't ask for this, but no matter what, we be true to who we are. She grabs Liam's hand, holding it firmly. We are who we want to be, and what we do, not who changed us or hurt us. A tear falls from his eye. He nods slightly. Turning his head to look at her, she wipes the tear from his cheek. He takes a deep breath, straightening up and lifting his scythe. He steps forward. Let's get back to training. Then tonight we will rest. Or try to. He picks a new tree to swing the scythe at full force. Annalisa sighs, pulling out her knife and going back to her tree. She rubs her wrist before swinging the knife, slicing little cuts into the tree. Hours fly by of swinging and throwing their weapons. As the sun sets, they join together and train against one another. Annalisa can't really block Liam's scythe unless she gets lucky, so she dodges each swing. And like what Liam said, she must get close to him to cut him. He swings his scythe, stabbing into a tree as Annalisa dodges again. As he struggles to pull the scythe out of the tree, Annalisa comes from behind, pointing the tip of her knife on his back. He turns around and lifts his hands, leaning his back against the tree. Got me, he grins. She smiles as she lowers her knife. She does a quick little spin. Knife. She points it at him. You only won because my scythe got stuck. If it didn't, I would have won. She scoffs. Accept your defeat, Liam. He rolls his eyes. Fine, fine. I, for the first time, have been defeated. He pulls and wiggles his scythe from the trunk of the tree. He twists it once before looking towards the horizon. It's getting late, he says slowly, walking towards the trail. Come on. He glances back at her. Annalisa nods, slipping the knife into her pocket and following behind. They climb up the hill to the trail. Liam looks at both sides before stepping forward. Annalisa stands by him. She starts to walk to the right side when Liam calls her name. She turns around. Get rest. You'll need it, he says. Annalisa smiles. You too. Don't let the monsters bother you tonight. She walks down the path. Liam watches as she leaves view. His jaw clenches. Shaking his head slightly and turning away, he walks the other way. The old lanterns illuminate the path in a golden glow. Crickets sound in the bushes around. The dragging of Liam's scythe comes to a pause as he lifts the scythe up and enters the old house. He closes the door behind him, not bothering to light a candle. Liam walks into the living room and fixes his blanket on the floor. He calls away his scythe that vanishes into thin air. Liam walks through the house once to ensure safety before cuddling into his sheets and preparing himself for a long night. He closes his eyes, taking a deep breath. The clock on the wall ticks and the house creaks. He turns to his other side, hoping that comfort will drag him into sleep. He turns again, then again. He stares up at the ceiling, the clock ticking. He turns to check the time before groaning. 2 hours of waiting for dumb sleep. He pulls the blanket over his head. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. He shoves the blanket off and sits up. He tries to softly sway himself to sleep. A rocking chair would be nice for this, but sadly, he didn't have one. He takes off his cloak, throwing it nearby. His eyes droop, and he thinks he can finally sleep. He lays down, hugging his pillow. His breathing slows, everything turning dark. He tugs the blanket higher, opening his eyes slowly. Soft yellow color coming through his window. He looks up at the ceiling, rubbing his eyes and forehead. He sighs. More light slowly creeps through his window. He sits up, spreading out his blanket before standing. He walks into the kitchen, turning on the coffee maker. He grabs a cup from the cabinet, setting it down and waiting. He softly taps his finger on the counter. Coffee slowly drips into the pot. He pours the coffee into his cup, picking up the cup and bringing it outside. The floor creaks as he steps onto the porch. He takes a slow sip of coffee, watching as a family walks by. The kids smile, and the parents tell them to stay close. They walk down to town without a clue of what hides all around them. His hand tightens on the cup as he takes another sip. If only they could see. He looks up at the sky. The chains hang over top, trapping everyone in. He looks down, taking another sip. His foot taps on the wooden floor below. He thinks over the plan. He checks for flaws, for tricks he might need to watch out for. He finishes his coffee and brings the cup back inside to the sink. Places it down and heads to the living room. Looking around and grabbing his cloak, he places the cloak over his shoulders. He clicks the button around his neck and pulls the hood over his head. He walks out of the front door and off the porch. He runs into the distance, passing houses and people. He stops at the spot Onyx said to meet at. He looks around, but he finds no traps. He crosses his arms as he thinks of his next move. The bush rustles nearby. Liam's eyes snap over. Onyx smirks as he steps forward. Liam, isn't it too early to get into position? He says, tilting his head. Liam turns away. Why are you here? Onyx sighs. Just checking. Liam shakes his head and walks away. Hey, Onyx calls out. Liam pauses, looking back. See you tonight. Onyx crosses his arms, looking over at Liam. See you. Liam looks him up and down before turning and walking away. Onyx kicks a nearby rock, watching as Liam walks away. Liam runs to a field, one with flowers and tall grass. He summons his scythe, swinging at the open air. He twists and turns, cutting bits of the grass. He swings the scythe and throws it. It stabs into a tree. Liam leans forward, placing his hands on his legs. He tries to catch his breath, taking deep breaths. Liam straightens and walks over to the tree, grabbing and pulling his scythe free. He steps away, swinging the scythe around once more. Hours seem to turn to minutes. He tosses the scythe into the air. It spins before falling down. Liam catches it and turns around. He notices the time change and the setting sun. He runs and runs to the meetup spot. Air flowing through his hair, he stops at the spot looking around. He waits for the others to show up, quietly looking up at the stars. A moment later, the bushes rustle. Annalisa and Onyx walk over. You ready? Onyx asked, pulling out his gun. Annalisa pulls out her knife. Liam's hand tightens on his scythe. He nods and turns to Annalisa, who nods back. Let's show this witch why she doesn't mess with us, Onyx says as they take off. They run towards the last place they know she was at, the cave. People light lanterns and candles in their houses and near the trails. They slow down as they get closer to the entrance of the cave. Liam sighs as he looks at the big opening in the mountain. This is easy. Too easy. Onyx steps forward, looking around. The branches of the tree rustle and bushes move. Liam's eyes widen as he steps forward. They're here, he says, lifting up his scythe. Annalisa and Onyx hold out their weapons as shadows form and shape around the entrance of the cave. Small, bright red eyes look over them as they get ready for battle. Sharp nails and teeth, they growl at the three standing in front of them. Liam's eyes are consumed with white fire as the group of minions step closer. Still confident? He asks Onyx. The biggest lunges forward at them. Dun dun dun!
That is fascinating.
It's rough. Very, very rough. But as
this is also a high schooler.
This is and that shows. But the fact that there's so many layers into what they're doing, there's what the characters are doing, and there's something major. Like, I'm actually curious how this particular author is going to take this story as they increase their skill and edit and this. I'm
Yeah, obviously the writing is immature because this, as far as we know, this may be the first time they've ever written ever. We don't know.
Right.
But everyone starts out with a rough voice. What as what Patrick said, it's the bones that are important. And this world they've created is fascinating.
Bitzer wrote, I have been writing since I knew I could do that, and you're already gaining on me.
There you go. Mm-hmm. All it's going to take is practice. That's
practice.
They've already got the natural skill. All it takes from here is practice. That's awesome.
Just start with being a storyteller. What, Julie? Sorry.
Knowing what a paragraph is.
Yeah, yes, there is that. I lost my place a couple of different times, but we've all done that. I mean, I have read out other submissions on this show where there were no paragraph breaks or there were multiple characters speaking in the same paragraph, and that is stuff that you learn as you get.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just part of editing.
Yes. Bitzer, keep writing.
I've got friends that write one full block to just they word vomit and then they go back and they break it up. Absolutely. And you'll get to that point where you learn about word repetition and finding different ways of saying different things and not repeating the same words so close together and but the bones of a story. I'm sitting here going, okay, who is this evil, nasty witch that is trying to become queen? Who is these minions? Like, what? Who hurt Liam, Annalisa, and Onyx? And why are they the ones that are saving everything? And, like... Also, I heard mention of chains in the sky.
Yeah, keeping everybody in? Like, what? The wrong... Huh?
Throw me a Coke, Jinx.
Oh. I don't know if I buy it, you might not get it for 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very much so. And as this was a first submission to our show at the tail end of the Anonymous month, obviously nobody's going to have a guess for that, but what does it take to be a writer? First and foremost, come up with the damn story.
Yep. You have to have an idea.
You have to have an idea.
Maybe a character.
Maybe.
Not necessarily a name character, just a character.
And so, I mean, I can't wait to see. I mean, we've also seen it with Nathan, right? Nathan is a younger individual, not quite high school age, and already is like putting some of us to shame, has invoked hashtag break Izzy. I have cried at several of them. I have mic muted on several of them. And so these young people need to be fostered and encouraged, because and don't let anybody, any teacher, any friend, any classmate sit there and tell you anything negative about this, because you did the damn thing, and that took courage, and that took fucking courage to put it out there. Keep going. Keep going. All right. So we have now read out all the submissions. I did notice while I was on my break and my Moonwater cleanup, Styx pulled some of the various different summaries that I had put in January Fresh Ink. Next year when we do this, somebody might be designated to summarize
that was
for us.
That was Patrick.
Patrick? I thought both of them were doing it. I thought I saw
No, Styx. Why does everybody think I'm number 19?
Oh, I missed that one. Okay. Sorry. Thank you, Patrick, for, pulling from one to the other.
I figured he was too busy because he was still doing his Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the whatever.
Okay, so what's our guesses here? What's our guesses here? Submitter 1. Okay, submitter 1 was the letter with Rose, I believe Derek and Jax, and we found out this week that Jax has been to therapy in the last 5 years and doesn't have as bad of a stutter anymore. But we never did figure out, Rose was pregnant, and there were letters, and there's an up city and a down city or underground, and there's the haves and the have-nots. Very Blade Runner-esque.
Yes, and we still don't know who the hell Lucy is.
Still don't know who the hell Lucy is. And actually, the author has also said, I don't know who the fuck Lucy is.
I don't know who the hell Lucy is.
Lucy will tell me eventually.
We'll have to read the book when it comes out.
Right?
So,
what is blowing up? Swear to God.
Oh, Discord. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and mute that now. I usually don't have the sound on my computer.
No, yeah, I know, but
because of the wheel and everything, I have the sound on.
But it's also because my Apple Watch is connected to my phone, and my phone is the Izzy Krause mobile account, and so my wrist keeps buzzing all night.
Welcome to the Discord.
Hello.
Wait, where am I? Okay.
Sorry, I just got a sidebar message explaining something, and I'm like, motherfucker deserved it. Anyway,
There it is. No, that's wrong.
Hey, there we go. New joiner to the Discord. Thank you very much. Does anybody at all have any ideas who Prompter 1 is? I mean, okay. Quick vote of our 5 panelists and weigh in the comments. Should we list who submitted? All said and done, and maybe you guys can
I mean, I think that would be. I mean, we can give up who 22 is because they're never going to get 22.
That well, and I wasn't sure after we said high school and everything else.
They wish to be acknowledged as Ace's daughter.
Yes. So our lovely Ace's
daughter.
Ace's daughter was number 22, and can't wait to see where she goes with her writing career, because having a story is important. Okay, so real quick, we are going to let me pull up this over here. Let me go there, because when you have a habit for tabs upon tabs and windows upon windows, and you need to get to the point where you have 3 different monitors with this shit on it, and that's still not enough, you might have a problem. Okay. I mean, no, come on, where is it?
You should be proud of her, Ace. Oh,
Really should. Really should.
my battery's almost dead. I didn't even realize it.
From what was conveyed to me, she was very nervous about submitting, and I'm like, just submit. I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Just submit. Okay, now, I'm sorry to inform, but there are some people who have chosen to remain
completely anonymous still.
And you will see
that's okay.
And that is okay. We can mourn all we want. It's being wonky, so bear with me here. Oops. Deleted too much. Okay, here we go. This is just not going to work. Let me go and put it over here, because the chat window just keeps bouncing all over the place. So I can't tell.
Who's who?
Got it. Got it, Shay.
What? You want back up? Why not? You've proven you can fit behind me. Go ahead.
Okay, there we go. Now I've got it all out in a comma separated values for those geeks, CSV. All right. Those are your lists. These are very much posted in random order. I did manage to do that. So we've already established
Looks like alphabetical order.
It's nearly alphabetical order. It is not, though, because if it was done alphabetical order, number 19 would be at the top of the list. So Yeah, number 19 has chosen for their pen name number 19, so we don't even have to talk about that one. But Rose with the the weird Blade Runner style. Any thoughts out of that list? Who that particular submitter was?
Anyone?
Anyone? The panelists can't vote, can't talk. Yeah, no, apples is not a safe word. I also would not recommend pineapples.
What's going on? What can we not talk about?
Oh no, we can't vote. We can't give ideas of who is who.
Just posted the answers though.
But not in order. That was just the list of who submitted so that people kind of have an idea and can reference. Okay, so we got.
I didn't look. I just saw the name. Hey, it's A.
Shay thinks it's me.
Okay. Bitzer is quite upset that Styx is not listed. Stavros says maybe Shay. I mean, Shay does, have a really awesome thriller. Just saying.
My baby girl. Hi, baby girl. Always my baby girl. I know, sweetie. I know.
Luna says it's Shay.
And Styx is talking about safe words. Look, we all talk about safe words, okay? Let's be honest.
I don't think you have to bully him, Julie. I think everyone else is going to.
So, we're gonna call it. Number 1 is our horror queen herself, Dahlia McEachern. Dahlia has me hooked, line and sinker. I want to know this up thing and underground and all this other stuff. Can't wait to see where that goes.
I want to know who the hell Lucy is.
Oh,
they would like to know who the hell Lucy is as well. Lucy just kind of popped out on the page, and now they don't even know who the hell Lucy is.
I understand that.
All right,
Lucy,
and
Lucifer.
Number 2. Okay, here's our next guest. Submitter number 2 was the Vaquero with Frederick and his cross-dressing subterfuge and, going against the Confederates and blowing up stolen munitions or stockpiled munitions.
A lovely spy story.
Yes, lovely spy story. And if you hadn't noticed, Frederick also had eyes for the Vaquero and and made mention of how a couple of the other guys were hot. So very nicely well done historical legitimate story there.
My thread. I keep losing my threads. I can't afford to lose my thread. This stuff is expensive.
All right, Luna says number 2 is Nathan. Anybody else have guesses? Legitimate. I just love saying it. It makes it sound fancy.
I like the Alphabet Mafia. It's like they just kind of show up and beat you.
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
It's like I personally like the Alphabet Mafia.
Around here, though, prior to LGBT having all the other letters added for representation. Some of the crews that I used to hang out with referred to the alphabet agencies as the alphabet mafia. So although they've also claimed it, like it just got really confusing in the circles. So
honestly, I prefer the blanket term, the Q word blanket term, which I'm pretty sure I can't say on Twitch. That's my preferred word. But I know a lot of people don't like that word, so I'm not allowed to say it online most times.
yeah.
But
Yeah, number two.
Everyone.
Thank you, Sticks. Shay said that because of an ad, she didn't hear us describing it. But number two was the Civil War era vaquero cross-dressing spy. Not that the cross-dressing spy was the vaquero, but he had an obsession with it.
I was just gonna say, is it considered cross-dressing if it's part of your job? If you're a spy, is it cross-dressing? Because it's just a disguise.
Yeah, but it was his idea.
Yeah, fair.
Yes, absolutely, Bitzer. We use it around here all the frickin' time.
Yeah.
My house, because not a single person in my house is 100% straight.
Honestly, with the way my two dogs are constantly licking inside each other's mouths, I don't think they're straight either.
Anybody? 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 Anybody?
For guesses.
We'll also say this, that it was a much different language than what they normally submit. So that's probably what's going to throw a lot of people off. Bueller. Bueller.
Bueller.
I hate that.
Not very many, Sticks. Not very many of us do historical fiction or have at least not submitted historical fiction. All right. Yeah, Trevor isn't on there. Sorry. That one threw it off. Number two, with our beautiful Confederacy, is the resident Australian, C.M. Weller, a.k.a. Bitzer K, a.k.a. Internutter. Very well done. Thank you for the accents, my dear. All right, and number three was our lovely Dryad story with the cute, sweet wedding. I'm going to say you've got until 15 after. That's how we're going to do it.
The fucking key smashing.
No, Bitzer, we ain't tossing you out. Nope. We literally gave you mod privileges. You ain't getting tossed out. Okay, Luna says 3 is Kesh. Shay says Shar. C.R. McCormick. Any other guesses? Yes, Luna. Could not agree more. I absolutely loved it, digging into that one.
Yes.
Oh, so good. But my second guilty pleasure is historical fiction, especially the ones that bend history on its ear and are stories that probably actually did happen, but we don't get to hear about them because victors write history books.
Yep.
Ooh, nice. Very nice. Glad we were able to give you the platform to bring that out of the mothballs. All right, 2 minutes. Number 3 with our lovely Dryad and Kiara in the apple field, kind of the Beauty and the Beast, because we even had our own guest on. That wasn't his name, but
and again, playing on what you just said about Bitzer being able to get out of 2015. I was able to get crazy heavily on a story I've had in my head since 2004.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on my pirate story since high school, and
Yep.
it was this show that found the damn momentum going for it.
Yes, Sticks, we know you abstain. Anybody else have an idea? Are we just going to keep coming up with synonyms?
Yeah.
Number 3.
Close cousin business.
Hey, it's 15 after. Our lovely, beautiful Kiara with the grove tending and her handsome dryad was written by P.A. Power. Once again, love is love. All I'm saying. If you know love, you can write love.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, what? Go, Patrick. Magic touch. Yes. Yes, those intricate stories that unlike Julie's where I want to strangle her, I'm like, "Ooh, yes, give me more." But also, quit giving me Mean Girls.
I didn't give you Mean Girls this go around.
No. But Zura has that Regina
Bring it,
from
Sticks.
Once Upon a
You have a
Time.
joke? But bring it.
Oh, okay. Moving on, number 4. Number 4 was different stories every single week, but I did notice that every single one of the protagonists had a name that started with E. So we had the house that was burned to the ground around him, haunted by his dad. We had the God, what was the other one where the city was going dark and God, not the one with the zombies, but there was something else. But it was always about loss or about some kind of suspenseful.
I love our audience so much.
Oh my God, what I want to say. What I want to say so bad, but I can't.
You can save it for
Fine.
Discord.
I can save it for Discord and private channels. More reminders for number 4. Maybe I go into the inbox and oh my God, we already have one for this weekend. Okay. Yeah, Rooms You Can't Enter, which was the one about the haunted mansion. We had The Borrowed Grief. That was the one where the world was going to shit in a hailstorm, and he took grief away from people in catastrophes and whatnot, and it wound up making people mad because they wanted their grief. Let's see what else we got here. Better Men Than You. Oh, the brother and the sister. The sister went to prison because he framed her. Oh, and then there was the one, the world where death no longer exists, and her husband came back from the dead 4 years later to show up on her doorstep and say goodbye. And then the one we read tonight, where the girl was still in the house when he left her behind, and then he decided after she disappeared. Okay, so Shay has a guess of Nathan. Stavros has a guess of Shay. 1 more minute. That's what we'll go to 21. If we hadn't had so many submissions, we could have easily done a poll.
Alas, we were too popular.
Alas. Oh, we are so popular. Such a horrible thing. Luna says
So
Artemis.
difficult.
I can see all those. I really can. All 3 of those. Bango, bango. Shay has it right. That is Nathan Stark with his gripping in the heartstrings methodology of writing. Woo, woo, woo.
So if somebody guesses right, we announce the name early?
No, it flipped to 21. I said we were going to 21.
Okay. Gotcha.
Or at least 21 on mine. I know that there's a little bit of lag, but we're trying to keep this going because I do have work in the morning and I have to get my truck to the auto shop before I go to work. All right. That was very nice. Very nice job, Shay, getting that one. Number 5. Number 5 is the one that had us all like verklempt. We had the cannibalistic grandpa who wasn't dead after all. Okay, and this weekend we had the
feisty granny.
The feisty granny with the inherited house. Hey, there we go. Thank you, Doc. Another one is my boyfriend's tried to stop me from leaving him. He tasted so good. At least he'll never bother anyone again. Yes, that was the one where, he hit her one too many times. She tried to leave. He tried to stop her, and she's like, all right, bet. Boom! God, he was tasty.
I don't want to say that there's such things as morally sound cannibalism, but, not wasting.
And I got the impression that the female protagonist was a vampire. So, I mean, is it cannibalism?
I would argue drinking blood is a form of cannibalism.
Yeah. Could be. Yes, and although all of those horrific whatevers do sound right up Delia's alley, it was not. Okay. Luna, Doc, I worry.
Trash isn't good for your tummy.
I worry more about the indigestion. Trash isn't good for your tummy. That is funny.
That's great.
We'll do 2 more minutes. Okay, we got a vote for Trisha, a vote for Leon.
Oh wow, it's after midnight. No wonder I'm yawning. Wait, does that?
Luna says Char.
I'm quite enjoying this because I feel like I have a rather decent poker face. So even if you guys do guess me right, you'll never know until it's announced.
Think we're gonna have to do a flash round to get through, everybody.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that hit the 25 mark. Number 5 was our lovely OG first prompter, Trisha Jones. Y'all should have known after everything we got with Love Bug. Love Bug.
Yeah.
Love Bug.
It was so good. And in fact, Trisha and I had a whole side conversation about it. And I was just like, this is amazing. You write you, right? Because just you're so versatile
Can
with your
somebody-
different stories. I mean, there is that. Yeah, your trucker husband would absolutely say that. And yes, Stavros was right. Number 5 is Trisha. Number 6 was our lovely space romance with Garrett and Cyan. A lot of people had guesses in the Discord about that. So we're going to do 2 minutes. Get your guesses in.
While we're waiting for the guesses, are you guys aware of what the second verse of Poker Face actually says?
It's been a hot minute.
Well, the first line is definitely the Poker Face time. She's actually saying "fuck her face."
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wonderful.
They played that.
Oh,
They played that on the radio for like 2 months before they caught on, and now they don't play Poker Face on the radio anymore.
I hear it on the radio all the time down here. So it must have been a different version. Unless it's a different version. I don't know if one was done. Yes, C.M. Weller, it was revealed. That was number 2.
The second one. Yeah. Right, because the first one was Dahlia.
Yes. So thus far we've got Dahlia, Bitzer, Patrick, Nathan, and Trisha. OG crew. So, this one was kind of a sci-fi romance. Flux capacitor. Thank you, Doc, for grabbing that.
It's actually in the lyrics. If you look up the lyrics to that song, it's poker face, then the poker face is the next line, and then poker face, then effer face again.
Okay.
Lady Gaga likes to slip it in.
Oh yeah.
All right. I think I have an idea.